All right, welcome to Dcures Albuphet episode number 11. And we are here with Dcure, the man himself, and we are going to be discussing the album Janky. Wow. Bro, like I just said before we even hopped on here, man, I can't believe this is the 11th episode of us,
Yeah.
doing this. And it's, I want to, before we get into it, man, I know I did this last time, but I really want to just thank you for the opportunity to do this, the opportunity to dive into your music. It's something that, like, growing up, it was something I always wanted to do because I loved music my whole life, but I never had the ability to ask the artist, like, hey, what did you mean by this? And where did you want to go with the
Yeah.
song? And so, like, to be able to do this with you, man, is a phenomenal opportunity. So I thank you for having this,
Yeah. My
and
pleasure,
giving
man.
me this time, man. And
Thank you.
thank you to the people who've been listening. But yo, so Janky, man, bro, I remember I was gonna. Me and my wife were talking about it, and not most of the time when you drop an album, it's like drill weekend. So I'll stay up, and then I'll have to go to drill in the morning. So I remember with Janky, I had to be up at 05. So I just woke up at 05, and this was my way in. And in the
Mm.
album, you talk about, you talk about going into Brooklyn, and you bring that up in the album, right? And it's just such an, dude, I just love it from start to finish. It's the whole album, I feel like, is just like, it's like a lot of your albums, you're up and then down and then up and then down. And this album, it doesn't really, I at least I don't think that happens. This album, it's kind of steadily, like, just up the whole way, even though you're talking about some, like, intense things. The vibe doesn't really, like, there's no, like, part of it where you're like, bro, like, because, like, you like to bring us down into the dump sometimes to think, but in this album it doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
It kind of keeps us on the up and up throughout the album.
Yeah. Because we were talking about, janky things about brokenness. I didn't want to stay down in that,
Yeah,
to at least have some contrast with the beats and the
yeah,
melodies and stuff. So yeah, there's plenty dark,
yeah.
lyrics and
Yeah,
stuff, but
yeah, they're still in there, but it's like not as,
yeah,
like, deafening and downing. So
yeah.
what led us to Janky? Like, what made you decide that that was going to be the word for this letter? And then also, for those who don't know, what is Janky? What does that mean?
Just like poor quality.
Yeah.
Um, I went the like broken route because I feel like
Hmm.
janky, like when you see like a janky old car, that's like an old beater,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, janky for me was just talking about brokenness
Hmm.
and the ways that people are broken, the ways that people, return to them to their old selves,
Mm.
and um, it's something that I was thinking about earlier today is when you haven't spent a whole lot of time, walking with God,
Yeah.
it's easy to go back and like
Yeah.
be who you just were,
Yeah.
especially if you just had a big life change. It's easy to go
Hmm.
back and like curse somebody out
Yeah.
or start yelling in
Hmm.
traffic or
Yeah.
um and that's something with janky is if we were just broken,
Hmm.
or if we just made this big transformation, it's easy to go back and revert back to being the person that we were. And it takes a long time for us to be with God and working on that relationship to
Hmm.
revert to forgiveness and healthy ways of reacting. And so for me, the walk feels new still. Granted, I grew up in the church, but
Yeah.
um, you know, getting sober and like
Hmm.
actually getting to the place where I'm walking with God
Yeah.
took me a long time. And so, yeah.
Yeah, bro, and that's something that I can align with greatly. And as you're talking about this, I just had this verse come into my head. I'll be honest, I did not know the verse, so I just quickly Googled it. I
Mm,
knew it, but I was like, okay, what's the word verse? So Romans 12:2, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. And I
Mm.
think that's like
Yeah.
a very fitting for this album,
Yeah.
because that's exactly what you were just talking about. And like I was saying though, I align with what you're saying, because like, I remember years ago, when I had first like really like as a young adult, like was really like I had just come home from Afghanistan and I was really in the word and I was going to church a lot. I had a friend of mine, Miguel. He was in the Marine Corps with me. He was like, and I stopped. I remember this like vividly. We were sitting at the bar and I was talking to him about like church and like how I've been going to Bible study and all this stuff.
Mm.
And he just looks over at me and he goes, "Yeah, I remember when I was like that." I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "Yeah, I remember when I was excited for the Lord." And he goes, "Just give it time, it'll fade away, and you won't, you won't be like you are right now." And I remember at that
Mm.
sitting there telling him like, "No, no, no," and it happened, and he was right, but he was right because I allowed that to happen, right? And now years later, I'm, same like now I'm 7 months sober, not 7 years, but one day, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
now things are definitely a lot different. I'm back in the Bible, I'm back in the church. I've been praying so much, like it's insane, dude. Like I literally like prayer has always been an issue for me. I'll be real. And then recently, like I've found that like at night when I can't go to sleep, I'll just lay in bed. It used to be I'd be on my phone constantly for hours on end.
Mm.
Now I just find myself like when I wake up in the middle of the night, just praying.
Yeah.
And it's such a different like I fall right back to sleep, or like now I'm just like, okay, instead of me being on my phone, laying in bed, like let me and mindlessly scrolling, like let me talk to God, let me pray
Yeah.
over my wife or over
It's
my
a great
family.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So it's definitely, being renewed and being not conformed, right? But some of the things that so I listened to the album again, and I wrote down a couple of things, and there's some parts of the album that I'm kind of confused about, kind of like have some curiosity. Um,
Cool.
but like, so the first song, I love how. By the way, I love the name of the song. I love the title of the song. I love how it's the first song. I think it's phenomenal that you started it off with
Heavy.
this like admission fee. Like I think it's so sick because like, and the way that you talk about the admission fee, like because you're like the way that you break down the like the and this again I've said this before, but like I love how you break down the gospel and how you break down like how you've been saved by grace and your testimony and stuff like that, because like it's very easily edible for somebody who's
Yeah.
not a believer to listen and then want to learn more. I'm like, oh wow, I never thought about it like that. So like I love how you brought this song to be and how you talked about it, because in this song like there's a lot going on, and like and
Yeah.
you're talking about like I can't help it, I'm only human, what am I doing wrong? And then you're talking how like the devil's saying you aren't good enough, you're a drunk, you're not going to get better, and then you're talking about how like you're going to get better with the music, but he's like, no, you're not, you're a drunk. And it's just like, dude, I love how you did that with
Yeah.
this song. But then you also say, why do I let the devil in more than I let God in? And that hit me because I was like,
Yeah.
bro, like it's so true. Like we allow ourselves to be so divisive to ourselves, and it's not even like is it easy to sin? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But we also allow it into, it's like we open the door and we're like, hey, come on in,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. We
yeah.
do.
But like,
Yeah.
so can you kind of like go over like what was the aim and the actual for admission fee? Like why did you start out with that song, and what were you trying to do with that song?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, there was a lot going on in that song. I wanted to kind of talk about all the things, that I was, and kind of posing the question of, can I really return from, who I used to be? Can I really make that return and be saved?
Mm,
And, having doubts about myself, having doubts about, the ways that I changed, and, is this enough to get me into heaven, kind of
yeah.
thing. And so, yeah, that was the back and forth with the devil and the things, why do I let the devil in more than I let God in? is just the same as me, taking the time to listen to the things that are obviously from the enemy.
Yeah.
Why don't I listen for the things that God is telling me?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and it's like if you think about it, like think about how like it's like I was talking with Greg when I first met him, and one of the things we were talking about was he was talking about like pornography, and he was talking about how he'll disciple people, and then the person will be like, "Oh yeah, I accidentally watched pornography," and he was like,
Hmm.
"You don't accidentally watch pornography." He's like, "You had to go to your phone, go to the device, you had to go to the website, you had to click the button. It's not
Right.
like it just fell in your lap and porn was right on the screen when you walked in the room. Like you literally
Even
went."
if something pops up,
Yeah, like
on the
you can look
screen that
away
looks
or
wrong,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, you
But it's
close
like
it. Yeah.
but what he was talking about though was like you deliberately went out of your way to sin. It's not like
Hmm.
some woman came walking up to you and she was naked, or like you were just, minding your own business and all of a sudden this thing happened. He was like, no, like you deliberately went out of your way to sin. And that's what
Yeah.
we're talking about, is that like, we gladly let the devil in, or like we're watching this show, we're watching this movie. Like I'll be honest, bro, I was watching um Power with 50 Cent,
Hmm.
and bro, i- if we talk about worldly desires, it's a phenomenal show, great acting and all these things, but realistically, should I have ever been watching it? No, like no way, shape
I
or
don't know
form.
anything
Like,
about it, but
bro, everything that you can name under the sun is in the show. But I was easily going out of my way to watch it. But
yeah.
then think about how easily, oh, I'm not going to go to church today because it's raining out, or this happened, or like we will very easily, and I'm not going to pray today. You know what, I'm not going to pray at dinner. You know what I'm going to do. But yet, like,
Yep.
we'll gladly just be like, yo, devil, like, yo,
Yep.
come on, like all this worldly desires will
It's
bring in.
easy.
Yeah,
We're
it's so
used to
much.
it.
Yeah. And
It's
then, and like
it's
you said,
janky.
especially, yeah, and especially if you're somebody who, is newly walking with the Lord, and that's the biggest thing, is that like if you find yourself newly walking with the Lord, you have to make sure that you are putting yourself around like-minded people, because if
Mhm.
you're newly walking in the Lord and you are brand new in the Word, but you're surrounding yourself with the same old people, then it's very easily going to return you to that jankiness, if you will.
Yep.
So we got to be careful of
True.
that.
Very
So
true.
then, so I was just watching the video. I watched it like 3 times for regret. I love it.
Thank you.
Dude, Home is their Home, right? That's by who made it.
Home Field
Yeah,
Productions.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
yeah, they're dope, man.
Yeah.
But so that song, there's a lot going on in that song. I love it. Because I like the way that I like the way that you are portraying, like you're talking about like everything that's going on as a young man, like you're doing your job as, as a soldier, as an airman, and you're talking about like, just doing what your job is, but you're also bringing in the fact of like, hey, I'm this young individual that's impressionable,
Yeah.
like all these things are going on in my life. And then you're talking about years in bottles for careers. Is that what you said?
Years
Years
in a
in a
bottle
bottle
for
for
careers.
careers. Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard that. I was like, bro. And then I didn't. This is what I was confused about. I don't know if I got this one right. I didn't believe when we met why you were leaving me dead. I can no longer sleep in these beds.
Nets.
Oh, Nets. Okay, but who's
Nets.
leaving you dead, and who did you meet? What was that about?
Regret. Um,
Oh.
yeah, so that song
Mm.
I'm really talking about the struggle to want to do both, to want to be
Mm.
an artist and to want to serve my country. There are times, where I felt super proud to be in the military. There are times where I felt like, I was proud to be an artist, but they were clashing in a way.
Mm.
And I felt like, there was this internal struggle of, do I follow my passion for music, or do I stick it out and just, serve? And both things that I'm proud of today.
Mm.
And still in the back of my mind, there's this lingering thought of, had I given more time to music, maybe I
Mm.
could have been further along now, and I wouldn't feel
Mm.
like, I'm behind. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's one of those things that, God's timing is different than what we
Yeah.
imagine. And
Yeah.
I'm in the place I need to be right now. And it just can be hard because I'm like, man,
So yeah.
I'm about to be 37 years old and I'm still pursuing music. And it's just like, man, people make it in their 20s and I'm still rapping. So I think a lot of that is just me being uncertain of, where I was, how long I kind of rode out being in the military. And granted, that's something I'm super proud of, and something I'll never say I regret doing. But
Hmm.
there's still a battle.
Yeah.
There's a battle of knowing which way to go.
Yeah. And that's normal, like
Yeah,
everybody has that. Everyone's like, oh, what if I had done this or what if I had done that? And but it's important that we realize that, like you said, like God gave you the gift of being a rapper. Like that's a gift that God clearly has given you. And now you're using those talents to pursue him and to bring
yeah,
other people into the fold. And also though, God also gave you the ability to serve and then be able to use your, because realistically, if you hadn't had served, you couldn't make the music that you make and you couldn't be able to
true.
relate to veterans. So then you wouldn't really be exactly where you are. And
Right. I
yeah,
would have been
like
making a different kind of music.
yeah, and something, yeah. So it
True.
definitely, so God definitely had a purpose in all of that.
Yeah.
But another bro, like I doubt he'll listen to this, but I have an uncle, and my uncle is 50 years old, okay, and he is still in a band,
Mm,
and they are in this small town of Middlebury, Vermont,
yeah.
and he's 50, and he's still, is in this band, and we've talked about it before, but like, like I think that like anybody can sit here and be like, oh, well, if I had this, I would be here. But the reality of it is that you don't know that. Like if I had taken
True.
this chance, I'd be there. Well, you don't know that.
True.
If how do you know that maybe if you joined the Air Force a day earlier, you wouldn't have gone to Iraq? Like
Mm,
you, you know,
that's
and I
true.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
so many we
There's
have no idea.
there are
And
millions of
yeah,
variables
it's like,
in
bro,
life. Yeah.
multiverses of things, but
And the thing is, like, had I went the like, had I said like I'm gonna wait off on the military, I'm gonna pursue
yeah.
music, I would have been in no shape
Mhm.
to try to make it as an artist too.
Yeah.
So I mean that's another perspective is I probably would have been making like basic like mainstream music,
Yeah.
probably cursing in my
Yeah,
music,
and
you know what I
and
mean?
and on top of that too, like I don't know if this is factual, but you can definitely tell us. Like, I would assume that a lot of your time in the Air Force is influential in your music, and not only your music, but also the people that you've met along the way that have
Yeah.
influenced your style of rap, your music. And you actually talk about this in the album. You talk about how you shouldn't have been influenced by the rappers that you were influenced by.
Mm.
You bring that
Yes,
up.
somebody lied. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah, and
Um,
I would have been in that same place, um, listening and being very impressionable. That would have changed,
yeah,
you know, the
yeah,
music I was making.
yeah. And then you say, just a kid, don't know who I am. I just want to be a rapping man. As a person, I am not a fan. Took a lot, took a lot for me to understand. Needed death to know who I am. That I was like, whoa, like, yo, that's insane. But
Yeah, I mean
again,
that goes back to what we're saying. Like I needed
yeah,
that
yeah, you
to
needed
become who
that
I am.
to you need to get that close to death. You needed to get that close to, to suicide and, the alcoholism and all of those things like intertwined, and that brings you to the conversation of like, oh, well, why does why does a loving God allow these things to happen in our lives? Well, we can't have a testimony without these things. Like
Yeah,
we can't,
he
you wouldn't
he
be
needed
able to
to go
make the
through.
music you make, and you wouldn't have, like, your love for Aaron wouldn't be as strong as it is if it wasn't for the things that you had been with or done before her. And
Mhm.
it's all encompassing, you know what I mean?
Right. I
So
wouldn't have met
then
Erin had I not joined the Air Force.
see,
I had to be in
so
the right place to meet her.
yeah,
Yeah,
bro. God was
true.
making it all happen. Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. So then we move on to Ecclesiastes 3, which is a phenomenal song. The Marine rapper again always outdoes him. Bro,
Yeah, bro.
I just love how he goes. I don't know exactly how he says it, but he goes Andrew and Raymond. Like he just
You and
throws out,
Raymond.
it's great. And then you talk about him being your man in the song. You're like, I gotta have Ray,
Yeah.
which is phenomenal. In this song, you bring up, I loved this line. This line had me dying. Humans binge drinking out of saucers and identifying as some kind of cat. I was like, bro, like I was laughing. Like
There
I
are
was like,
people that
yeah,
for real identify as
yep,
cats.
it's
Wow.
and then you bring Kevin and Ryan in on a teeter totter. I'm
That
glad that
balance. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad that I watched The Office so I can understand these
Yeah.
references
You
now.
need it. You need it for
I
my music.
100%, bro. And it's a balance. Love your neighbor, but your neighbor want to kill you. And then
Man.
I know you got the sickness, but never want to hear the truth. Bro, it's so true, man. It's so true. Like there was this gunny commented on my status today, and he said it was I made it was a post from somebody I remixed the reel, and it was about how people talk about like the temple, how we're the body of Christ, right, and we're the temple of God, and the guy was talking about how there's so many fat Christians, and a lot of people were like, "Oh,
Okay, yeah.
why do you call him
I,
fat?"
I think I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the guy was like, "Oh, well, if you can, where can you show me the height and weight standards in the Bible?" And then he goes, I'll get baptized." And I was like, so then immediately I'm like, well, first of all, baptism doesn't do anything for you or to you. It doesn't save you. But one of the things that I
Right.
said
You
to
got to
him though,
believe. Yeah.
yeah, like it's just a showing that you believe, right? But one of the things that I said to him though was that like you've already made a decision in your heart that you're not going to follow Christ and that you don't want to believe in Christ. You've made that decision. Like you're sick and you're just saying, I don't need a doctor. Like you have
Right.
made it. No matter what anybody shows you, you have made a decision. I'm good. It's not for me. And one of the things that I heard recently, and it was so profounding, was somebody was talking about, and it was the same guy, and I think his Instagram handle is Real Big Nick, and it was sick what he was talking about because it was so like I've heard it before and I've read it in the Bible, but he was talking about how when he wasn't a Christian and he would read the Bible, he would get nothing out of it. And he was like, but it wasn't until I was saved that now I have the Holy Spirit within me.
Yeah.
Now I can understand it because
Right.
the Holy Spirit who wrote the book is now within me. And I was like, bro, I've never like, I know that the Bible says that. And it's like, you hear all these sermons about it, but I was just like, until he said it like that, I was like, bro, like,
You read the Bible, but the Bible reads you too.
yeah, like it was like, bro, it was just, but yeah, it was just like, it was very
Yep.
edifying, like just talking, like listening to what he was saying. And I was like, wow, like I really needed that.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely. No, that's true. I mean, it's just a book to people that don't
yeah,
believe, but
yeah,
if you understand, and have the Holy Spirit, then the words make a lot more sense.
yep. And I know you got the sickness, but never want to hear the truth.
Never.
That's it.
Yeah. That's
Elephant in the
mankind.
room.
Oh yeah.
Elephant, bro. That is such, bro. There's so many. Like I couldn't even write enough notes down about it because there's so much going on in that song. Like you're talking
Yeah.
about cardiac arrest, you're talking about blaming it on climate control, you're talking about the vaccine, you're talking about medical born threat. Then you go on to say you don't even need the proof, you just take whatever they're giving you. Like, bro, such a
Yeah.
phenomenal song. And the album,
That's
the artwork for that song,
yeah, he killed that. That's Bored to Death. He does probably like 75% of my artwork. So he just always kills it.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, elephant in the room is just, there's this huge problem and no one's gonna talk about it. We're just gonna act like, it's not there. We're just gonna try to move on and pretend like these things aren't killing us.
Yeah. Bro, it's such a good song, bro.
Thank you.
And then you have Somebody Lied. I don't know if I think you said no, but if you've never heard the song Dear Hip Hop by Bizzle, It is such this song, this Dear Hip Hop reminds me a lot of this song because
Okay.
like you guys are
Okay.
kind of having like the same conversation about how somebody lied to you, and you're talking about like the influencers in rap that you've had that have influenced you. And in Dear Hip Hop, that's what he's talking about. Is he's talking about this negative influence that hip hop has put on the community,
Mm,
and how they, like abortion and drugs and all this stuff. And then he talks about what I love about the song Dear Hip Hop is that he talks about this like hip hop as it was his father and it raised him. So he's
mm.
talking about hip hop
Yeah,
being like, I was raised by hip
it
hop.
does in a way. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
he's talking about how like the drug game and the jewelry and murder, and he's like, this the like hip hop tells me this, but that's not. But but while hip hop, I forget the line that he uses, but it's crazy. He says something along the lines of like, hip hop told me you didn't want me, but you were standing there as a father and you wanted me back and you always loved me. And he's giving the correlation between hip
Mm,
hop and his heavenly father. Dude,
got you. Yeah,
it's such a great
yeah.
song, bro. Like it's one of the first Bizzle songs I ever heard back when I first found him. But yo,
Okay,
dude, I'm telling you, man, listen to that song, bro. It's such a phenomenal song.
okay.
Um, but yeah, and that reminded me a lot about this Somebody Lied, because of like they told me the world is mine. This got me. Like when I heard this in the album, when I first listened to it, like when I very first listened to it in the car, like they told me the world is mine. No, it's not. Somebody lied. And bro, it's so true. Like we're all told that. Like we're all
Yeah,
told that. Like, Al Pacino says it, right? In Scarface. But
yeah, and
it's,
that's in a Nas and Lauryn Hill song. The
mm,
um, well, it's "If I Ruled the World."
yeah, if
There's that
I
song.
ruled the
Yeah,
world.
yeah. They
Yeah,
don't directly say, "I don't think that the world is yours" in there, but I mean, there's so many times in hip hop, where you hear that kind of thing, and it's just
yeah,
like, I get what you're doing. You're trying to like uplift people and say that they can
yeah,
accomplish anything, but at the same time, like the influence of hip hop has a lot of negative connotations in it, and so
yeah.
it's kind of like what you were saying. We feel like we're raised by hip hop. It was something that's super influential,
Mhm.
and most
Bro,
of
it's
us
and
discover it as kids. Yeah.
yeah, bro, and I really don't think about it until like I started like right now I'm thinking about how janky of a person I was growing up. Like I
Yeah, me
started
too.
thinking about it and I'm just like, bro, like bro, I grew up in Brooklyn. I went to high school with 5,000 kids. Like I was listening to all that music, like Nas,
Yep.
Godson, like all that music, like
Same.
that's what I was listening to. And it's like you're like, yeah, yeah, you're bopping out to this and you're hitting this, like, and it's funny because a couple weeks ago I was in Virginia and I was at this old school gym. Like it was like all this old stuff. Like it was like the chillest gym I've ever been in. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, In the Club came on by 50 Cent. And I looked at my boy and I was like, yo, could you imagine how it would have felt to like be in the gym listening to this as it came out? And but then at the same
Crazy.
time, like now I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, bro, why was I ever listening to that?
Yeah.
Why was I ever listening to that music? And
It's the same like on your phone. I'm sure you have like old songs on there and they come
oh
up and you're
yeah.
like, yikes, I used to listen to this.
And it's
Yeah.
but you know what? Like, for instance, right now, when you say that, immediately to my mind, Joe Budden comes on.
Mm.
And I guess because Joe Budden has this album, I forget what it's called. I think it's Castles. And he talks about skeletons in the closet. Like, he has some really great music.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that he's talking about, like, it's like, dude, I wish Joe Budden would make Christian music because
Yeah.
it would be great. Like, yo, if we
He's
could
got
get
some
some Joe
things to
Budden
share. Yeah.
Yo, if we could get some Joe Budden Christian music, bro, come on. Like
Yeah.
that would be friggin' fire,
It
bro.
would.
But
It would.
I was gonna write some stuff down and I'll be honest, I didn't even bother. Because I wanted to just ask you, Burning Bush, what was the whole point of the song? Like where were you going with it? Like what did you want to talk to us about? Like what did you want us to receive from it?
So Burning Bush, I'm kind of talking about like um all these doubts, like all these um like moments in my life where I felt like, because what am I saying? If you could see me now,
Yeah.
and I'm talking about like,
You could
the
see
ways
me
that
now.
I was super struggling,
Mhm.
and um, through all that, I still found a way to find purpose. I say the line, I feel like Moses at the burning bush appointed.
Mhm.
And, that's like the moment when he talks to God and realizes he needs to go get the people, free the people from Egypt. And, that's kind of like um, the moment for me was like through all the struggle, you find purpose. And
Mm.
so that was kind of, the correlation between the burning bush, because that was the moment, when he found out, he had to go do this huge thing. And obviously, like, it seems impossible, but with God, we can do anything. But you're in
Mm.
that dark place, and it's, impossible to see or imagine your life being any other way. And so, yeah, that was the correlation for burning bush, was just like finding purpose amidst all that darkness, all that doubt,
Yeah.
and knowing that there's more.
But and again, that brings us back to what we were just saying a few minutes ago, right? Like when you talk about the regret, and like there's like we don't understand why
Mm-mm.
things are happening as they're happening, and then when hindsight's 2020, and we start looking back, and we're like, yo, God did that. Like we had no
Yeah,
idea why this was happening. We had no idea why this was happening, and then all of a sudden it's like, and you're like, and at the time you're like, but God, I want this to happen this way and this way and this way. And then all of a sudden, when you start finding out, like, well, no, actually, like, God had this plan for you. And and right now, this I think the best way for me to describe it is this, right? So when I was in Afghanistan, we were going down this road called Route Red, and it was probably like the fifth or sixth time that we've gone through this route. And down Route Red, there is we're driving through this road, and there's four compounds, and we're smack dab right in the middle. And what
mm,
happened was is that one of so we had the Afghanis with us, and the Afghani trucks, they would always get stuck in between the wadis, so like these big hills, they would get stuck in them, right?
hmm,
And what we would have to do is we would have to get out of the truck, attach a chain, and then tow them up the hill, and then go back down and tow them. Like, so we were where we would have like
man.
we had like 150 vehicle convoy, and we probably had I would say like maybe 50 or more of these Afghani trucks. And so I remember like I can remember like to the day where so we're doing this, we're going back and forth, we're going up and down, we're going up and down, and one of our vehicles got hit by an IED. So they were having a medevac. And as the helicopter comes down, it's like right outside of those four compounds. As the helicopter comes down, an RPG comes out from one of the buildings, and it literally like the guy literally literally like this is the helicopter. The RPG like literally goes to hit it, and he just up like this. So like how this guy even like did that, like no idea. Like you saw go whoop, and he went, yep. So like now,
Man.
mind you, like as all this is happening, I'm on the ground, and I'm hooking the chain up to the front of the truck, and then my boy, he's driving the truck up the hill and then backing down, and we're going back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't know how long this was going on. It was a long time. Like, it felt
Yeah.
like hours. Like I remember, like, I
Especially
don't.
at 50
Yeah,
vehicles, you have to
yeah.
tow
So
up.
like we were it was in between us, right? But the one thing I do remember is so this Afghani dude jumps out of his vehicle, and I take my M4 and I pointed at him, and I'm screaming, and I'm like,
Yeah.
get back in your truck, move the truck. And he's like, no, 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 we're getting shot at. I'm like, no crap. I know we're getting shot at because I'm getting shot at too. I was like,
Yeah.
get back in your truck. So he jumps back in his truck, he pulls up, and finally it comes to the part where we're done with our portion of the trucks, and we get back in and we drive up the hill. And and then once we get up the hill, my convoy commander radios in, and he says, hey, go our call sign was Matzo Ball, and the other guy, because my driver was Jewish, and then the other guy's call sign was Mice, I think Mice, and Mouse, and he's like, hey, go ahead of Mouse. So we go around him, go ahead of him. Next thing you know, the truck that we just went ahead of gets hit by an IED. So if we hadn't gone ahead of him, I would have gotten hit by that IED,
Man,
but I didn't. So then when we get back
crazy.
to the fob, after everything's done, we get back to the forward operating base where we're doing the debrief. This guy comes up to me, Melgar, and he's just like, hey man, he's like, dude. I'm like, what's up, dude? And he's like, bro, I'm so glad that you're alive. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what? I'm like, me too. Like, glad
Yeah,
you're
for
alive.
sure.
Like, right. And he's like, no, he's like, bro, you don't understand. And I was like, what? He was like, dude, I was providing security up at the top of the hill where you got, like, right below where you guys were. And he was like, the entire time I was watching bullets shoot through your legs and I was watching the impact hit the dirt. But he was like, I couldn't get positive identification from where it was coming from. He's like, I saw the muzzle flashes, but I couldn't see where, like, I couldn't find the person, bro. He's like, I don't know how you're alive right now. And I was just like, God's grace, like Psalm
God,
91.
yeah.
I've been reading Psalm 91, like God hooked it up. Like, but the reason why I bring this up, right, is because as we're talking about this, it reminds me of that, like, while we are so entrenched in tunnel vision,
Yeah.
we don't know what God's doing around us, above us, below us. We don't know what he's
He's
doing.
protecting us.
And
Yeah.
he's protecting us. Like, he has his hedge around us. And it's like, but in our minds, we're like, well, I know what's best for me. I know what's best for me. I need this in my life. I need this right now. And it's like, nah, man, you don't. Like, God
Yeah.
has a plan that we just don't understand. And, and yeah, bro, it's just like, it made me think about that, because I was like, in that moment, I'm moving around, I'm doing this, and the third, and
Yeah.
God's like, bro, I got you, like, deflecting bullets and whatever. But yeah, man.
That's it. I mean, it kind of goes along with people saying, like, why does God let all this stuff happen?
Yeah.
Well, you don't see the other stuff, you don't see the miracles that he's working in other people's lives, the way that that's affecting the people around them,
Yeah.
and how that's, he's shaping other people into, important roles. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things that, you don't know what God's doing. There are people, that get sick, and, there are people that die and they want to blame God, but no one
Bro,
can see
yeah.
what God's doing.
Dude, and no, it really is, man. Like, and just going off of that, I don't know if I told you, but a couple of weeks ago, there was this guy Kenny that I had met at the church, and met him one night, and he ended up passing away like a week
Oh
later.
yeah.
Yeah. So the other night we were talking at men's Bible study, and Greg, he was sharing it with us. He was like, people always say that, like, what does God do for us? And, like, why does God do these horrible things? And he's like, he's like, we really haven't talked about this, but he was like, when Kenny was in the hospital, Kenny, even though he was hooked up to all these vital signs, he was preaching the gospel. And he was talking to this nurse, and he was praying for this nurse, and he was praying that this nurse would come to church. And he was like, that nurse came to church this week. And
Yep.
and now Kenny's dead, he's in heaven, but that woman that he preached to at the hospital is now in church because Kenny said something to her. And it's like, oh, but
Yep.
yet, like you just said, like, everyone's like, oh, well, why does God do this? Why does God do that? It's like, bro, you're paying attention to these things that you think, like,
Right.
you have an idea for God. And
For
it's
selfish reasons,
yeah,
like,
and
you're
it's just
worried
like,
about
well, why did
yourself.
God let this happen, right? And it's just like, bro, but you don't see all the other good that
Yeah.
God is accomplishing. And and it's just like, dude, and it's just like, bro, but that's why it's like, when we are in these places, like, we have to make sure that we take the time to do these things, right? And it's even as simple, like you say in the song, about putting your card away. Like,
Yeah.
like, yo, that's something that, that could be a ministry, that could be a way for you to spread the gospel. Like, oh, here's my card, do you need one? And then all of a sudden your totally different conversation hops up. But
Yep. Yeah.
but stay alive. Dude, I love the thing that I love about you is like you say some random off the wall things. And like one in this song, you say, never be dry like a hobo towel. And I'm like, bro, I'm like, what? Like, do you touch hobo towels often? Like, how do
You
you
just
know?
imagine like if
Like
you
how
see
moist it is and like
oh
nasty.
yeah,
Oh
never
man.
dries all the way.
And then I love how you talk about I love how you throw shade without throwing shade. Like that's what I love about you and
Yeah, yeah,
TMR is it's like you're not
that's the
being
point.
rude, you're not being nasty, like you're just stating facts. And when you say how many records make a career, that's how many records I drop in a year. And I'm just like, bro, like and
Sixth
then
last year, so
this and bro, this one I remember I think I video messaged you the day that I heard this because you say call me Elmer, all I do is paste, but I never copy. And I'm like,
all
wow.
I do
Like,
is paste.
and then you bring up Haven in this song. You
Yeah,
bring that up from yep.
shout
Um,
out.
and then if you are not good with God, you're likely to blame him. And that's exactly what we were just talking
Yep, we
about.
just said
Isn't
that.
and
Yeah,
it's so true because like, bro, like think about it. Like when you're not good with God, you're blaming him on everything. Like, why does God do this to me? Why does God do this to me? Why did God do this to me? Why did God do
the
this to
funny
me?
thing is, if you don't believe in God, why are you blaming God?
Bro, right? It's like, but even like, but so like, even if we take a step back, right, and we don't talk about the non-believers and we just talk about the believers, right?
Yeah,
We often do the same thing. God,
for
why did
sure.
you do this to me? God, why did you?
We
I
don't
really
see it
wanted
yet.
this job. I really wanted this, or I really wanted this. And it's like, and you're like, God, why didn't you give this to me? And then you quickly realize, like for instance, recruiting duty for me.
Yeah.
If I was on Marine Corps recruiting duty and the God didn't take me off of recruiting duty after 4 years, I would have been on active duty when the COVID vaccine was mandated. And I
Mm.
would have had to choose to get in or get out. And
Yeah.
it would have been a
Yeah.
lot harder for me. But
Mm.
God took me off of active duty, put me back into the reserve program. And then now I can go back on active duty and I don't need the vaccine. So like
Man.
and there's mind you, there's all these other things that happened, right? Like God took sobriety, gave me sobriety. God took me away from pornography. Like all these other things happened in that 2-year span,
Yeah.
but God had a plan for me and he knew like, hey,
He's
I'm
still
taking
preparing you
yeah,
for something.
exactly. And that's the
Yeah.
thing is that like so even while so this line is for the non-believers and the believers.
Yeah.
But again, like you just said, like, yo, if you're not a believer in God, like, why are you blaming him for things? If he doesn't exist,
You
why are you blaming this dude on
gotta
things?
believe a little bit.
Yeah, right? Like, bro, stop.
Yeah.
But and then yo, Lego My Ego is such a good my ego, my bad.
Lego, yeah.
Lego My Ego is such a good song, bro.
Thank you.
Because it's like I love how it's uplifting, but at the same time, it's like a sucker punch because like it's so true. Like we have this ego, and
Everybody,
yeah, and oh
especially
man,
today, like social media, everyone's trying to prove, everyone's trying to get followers, everyone
hmm
needs to be important.
and now
Like,
you can
man,
just buy the
I'm just like,
verification, like.
yeah, yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
did you know they
Pay him
made six
$12.
did you know they made it was like I think $6.5 million in one day, the day that they
It
dropped that?
worked.
Bro, I was like,
I
"What?"
was like, nah. Now
Bro,
it's like if you can just pay for it, it don't even count.
people paying for it and they got 900 followers. Like, bro, who are you verifying, bro? Like,
And it
come
says
on.
they're what is the word? Um
Verified, certified?
no, like the description, like
Yeah, oh yeah.
um
So,
it's not influencer, it's something else.
yeah. So in this one
I
you
gotta
you
look.
say wake up a meeple, which I had to so I've heard of a meeple.
Wake up a what?
You said wake up a meeple.
Hold on.
And unless I messed it up
Which song?
in Lego My Ego.
Now I'm trying to figure out what part you're talking about. I don't
Because you
think I say
say
that.
it's gotta be. That's gotta be it. You don't make this world spin. Don't pretend like when you walk outside the clouds move. Hold on,
I'm like, man, that
because I looked it up And it makes sense that you would say that, but unless you're saying that you didn't say that.
I don't think so.
Hold on.
Now I got another line.
Oh, I'm just gonna... Unless I just made it up and that's not what you said at all.
I get what I do, but honestly, I'm the same as you. Not my thing, did you know? I don't think I'm better any day, cause I grow. If I see you walking in the rain and the snow, I'ma turn it right around, grab your things, let's go. I know people see my followers, and they think I'm famous or I'm the worst. When I see someone that's struggling, I don't walk right past like I'm not on earth. And I bring my car to the car return. I don't even in the middle of a parking lot, cause I know the feeling when you go to turn in, there's one in the very last parking spot. I'm not too good to do the right thing, I'm glad that I'm aware of who I'm being. So many people doing nothing, cause they feel they're better than you and me. It don't matter where we go, there's one thing we should know. Ask someone, how do I let go my ego? I don't wanna be one of those people
right here.
thinking life's about them, growing more than sequel by the day. That's not the way, but it could backfire on my face. Oh, but not today. I don't wanna be one of those people. It's a little temptation, then wake up, I'm evil, like they say.
Yeah.
I'm evil.
Oh, wake up, I'm evil.
Evil, as
Oh.
they say.
Nah, because this is, but hold on. So this is why I thought that.
I had a stuffy nose that day. Wake up, I'm evil.
So I'm evil is
like a kind of animal or something.
Is lacking in strength of character as a result of being quiet, gentle, and easily imposed on or submissive. Sometimes, yeah, that's why I was like, immediately, I was like, bro, this dude went great, and you just said evil.
But, now I'm gonna use Meeble in another song, just for you.
Because I've heard,
wake up, I'm evil.
Because
people like, you know what I'm saying? Like people slowly.
Yeah. Well, no, the reason why
they don't just change overnight.
Well, the reason why I Googled it though was because I've heard of meeples, and they're like the little guys on the game. So I was like, oh, what's a meeple? So then I looked it up and I was like, I get it.
It does work. Hey.
So there, I gave you 2 words.
There you go.
But
no matter which version you hear, it works.
And then in Out of Reach, there was something that I don't know what you say. And I looked it up. So it's either, again, I'm wrong or I'm right. And you said something about the stairs. So at first you're talking about the stilts. And you say you couldn't reach me even if you got on those stilts. And then you're talking about the stairs. And you said something about Anuba, like the building of Anuba.
I don't think so. It must have been something else.
Yes.
It must have been something else. I must have had extra boogers when I was recording these tracks.
No, you said something about the building and Anuba, and then I looked up Anuba, and Anuba's in Star Wars.
No, I wish.
Hold on, what do you say there? Bring heat like you lactose and oatmeal?
Say you bring heat but lactose like you're gulping oat milk.
Oh,
lactose.
Okay, I was like, wait, what? Lactose like you're gulping, bro. You couldn't find the steps to make money with the root of
a boot of new buck.
With a boot of new buck. What's the
material that they make like Timberlands out of.
Oh, okay. I heard a new
buck. You gotta find a way to couldn't find the steps to make money with the boot of new buck.
Oh, okay. All right.
So like finding new bucks.
I'm chewed up, this spit out. I got the skills to back though. Was told, get him out of this house. Okay, bye. Y'all won't die. Can't promise you that I won't try. Years later, beers greater, make a less phenomenal guy. Not in my mind until my diet's domino sides and my abdominals hide. Look at me, I'm
Domino
an old guy. I'm a
sides?
low ride off bottle
Domino
shots,
sides,
swallow
yeah.
my pride. Although I know that I am much better, why would I lie? Just know that what I spit can harm you, there's a llama inside. But I'm not gonna try, though there's not a lot on the line. I'm out of reach, out of hand, but a can in each.
Yeah, what is that? What out of you
I'm
said
out of
of
reach.
no, you said out of hand.
Out of hand, but a can in
Oh
each.
crap, bro! Because I was sitting there like, yo, what does he mean out of hand, but a can in each? And you're talking about the
talking about beer cans.
Oh, you're talking about beer cans.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not talking about a can and like the string and another can.
Oh man, that's good too.
That's what I thought you just meant.
Yeah, that's good too.
Because you're talking to yourself
Out of hand,
with the two
but
cans.
a can in each,
bro.
Out of hand. Yeah, now I'm thinking, man, maybe I was thinking the cans because the phones.
Yeah, the phones.
Yeah. Dang, now I gotta look at my lyrics.
So what do you mean by that? Because history is written like a bad speech.
Because history's fake.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like a bad speech. Like you know, you hear a lot of history and a lot of the stuff we don't know is true. So kind of like a bad speech, you know.
Got you.
It's all just hearsay.
Can't escape. So this one, so you say this in the song. You say, "Be sad." Wait, things I'm not proud of, even in. I've said things I'm not proud of, even in this album.
Yeah.
What?
I'm talking about my dad and admission fee.
Oh,
yeah. Where we're kind of butting heads on track one. Now I forget the lyric, but I'm saying something about how my dad can't admit fault.
This is such a good song, bro.
I think it's in the second verse. Yeah, I think it's in the second verse.
Like he's been forgotten. I know it's never too late, but he's the problem. You're there ain't no hope for me. At the gates of heaven, there you're opening. Don't know the way you're how I can get in. I wrote the thing or two in the commandments.
Yeah, this part coming up.
I never took the time to sit and do the math. Okay, I don't know my father. My father is the truth. And if I had a daughter, they'd be tied up to the roof. Okay, maybe I got the bended thing from him, it's true. But at least I can admit about something he never do. I don't always keep the Sabbath. My music can be crazy.
Yeah, that's it. I don't honor my father. My father bids the truth. And if I had a dollar, they'd be piled up to the roof. Okay, maybe I got the bending thing from him. It's true. But at least I can admit a fault, something he'd never do. Ouch. Yeah. So that was a line. That was like one of the first songs.
Yeah.
And so like reflecting back, I mean, that's just me being Janky and being broken and, you know, lashing out.
But see, that's what I love about this, right? Is that like, because very simply, easily, you could have, because I've been wondering that since this album dropped in February. I've been wondering, like, yo, what did he say in this album that he, like, what? I'm like, what? But what I love is that you're ending the song talking about the first song and being real, because very simply you could have edited that out, you could have redone the lyric, you could have redone the song, you didn't have to keep that in there. But what does that do? It shows and sheds your testimony on how even just in this album you're realizing like,
I'm
wow, like
fighting it.
why did I
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that? Like, so even while you're trying to make this album, you're having that inner battle between,
Yeah.
yeah, wow.
That's part of being janky, right?
No.
I mean, we constantly go back and we lash out. That's what I was saying earlier is we spent all this time being broken. It's easy to go back and act that way. It's super easy to. And so that's why I'm like, man, it's going to take me at least 10 years or more to react with love and patience and understanding. You know what I mean? Like I'm working toward that. But I know it's going to take time, to not react as a broken person that's, not following Jesus.
Yeah. And that's the thing though, right? Is like we react so easily. Like
Oh, yeah.
it's so easy for us to react to something. And it's like bro, a couple of days ago or maybe even today, I don't know. My son was like, Dad. I said, and I was like, what? And he just turns around at me and goes, I just wanted to say I love you. And I'm like, bro, why did I react like that? Like I just yelled at my son, and then he just looks at me and goes, I just wanted to say I love you. And I'm like, bro, like what is wrong with me? Like, but it's so true though, man. Like
there's a new thing. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that, like, like talking about that, right? It's like even in this album, you're discussing how simple it is that we react to things so quickly.
Yeah.
And God tells us that, right? To be careful of our tongue and to not lash out. And it's just like the reality of it, man.
I have this new thing I'm doing where I don't know if you ever like spill stuff or there's like some food that you really wanted to eat, but you drop it on the floor. I started telling myself like that was probably poisoned and God was just looking out, like I probably was supposed to eat those chips that I dumped all over the floor. Like that's probably poison. He just,
right. Just start looking at it in a better way. Just like, you know what? God was helping me out there.
I even did it. Like there's a sandwich spot that's like really good that I go to all the time up here. And it was yesterday. They were closed or no, they were open, but they didn't answer my call. And, I let it ring like 8, 9, 10 times. And I was like, they probably had some bad meat today.
Yo, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I literally I went to go grocery shopping for my wife and I went to the store. I got everything I needed to get, but then I had to go to Lowe's after. So I ended up leaving my wallet at the grocery store and I get all the way to Lowe's. I get all the stuff that I need. And now here I am with the cart and I'm trying to pay. And I realized I didn't have my wallet. So I'm like, oh, I'll just use Apple Pay. And then the woman's like, nope, you can't use Apple Pay here. And I'm like, okay, well, we can look up my phone number and we can get my credit card. And she's like, yeah, I don't know how to do that. So then I'm just like, bro, what the heck? So then I get back in the car. I go back across the highway. And as this is all happening in my head, I was trying to keep myself calm. And I was like, you know what? Maybe God just doesn't want me to be at Lowe's right now. Maybe I'm just not supposed to be here. But then, and as I'm reacting like this, I get back in the car and I'm like, bro, like that's no way to be as a Christian. That's no way to be for my children. Like I'm getting all mad over what? Like because I had to go across the highway to get my wallet. Like why am I?
God's reminding us.
Yeah. And then I told my boy about it, and he goes, bro, you have what we call first world problems. He was like, he's like, stop. He's like, you're mad about something like, bro, like there's people who can't live and don't have water, and you're mad because you have to go back to the other store so you can pay for all of your food and eat it tonight at your house. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
It's growth, man. The thing is, like, we're catching ourselves when before we would just be fuming the whole time.
Yeah.
But God is like reminding us, like, I'm right here. Like, everything
man.
is cool.
So true, man. So true. Like we're like slowly but surely, like we're realizing, like, bro, why did I do that? Or why did I speak to my wife like that? Or why did I watch this, or why didn't I watch this, or why didn't I pray? Like all these different things. It's like, bro, what is going on, right? And
Yeah.
it's like you said, God's working. And then one of the last things, I love it. You said it in Can't Escape. You said fall flat like pizza dough. And as you said it, I just imagine just pizza dough just falling like. But I will tell you this much: ever since you dropped this album, I'm very conscious of putting my cart away, like
Man,
all the
look.
time. Like I already was. Like
Yeah,
I'll
me
be
too.
on. I will be honest. The only time I do not put my cart away is when I have all three of my kids, because I'm like I can't willingly like leave my three kids in the car and then walk away and put the cart away. And
Don't worry.
I'm like at this moment I think it's okay that I didn't. Like, and
Don't worry, I got you. I put plenty carts back just for you. Don't worry.
But
Well,
yo,
that's another perspective too. Is like the person that didn't put their card up likely had a good reason. They might not have, but there could have been a good reason.
Nah, not all the time, bro.
Now
like
I know. Like
I don't know if this happens.
Had his hands full with the kids.
I don't know if this happens in Colorado, but like, bro, in Jersey, they just passed a law, right? Because you'll be on the highway and you'll see Target carts on the highway. You'll see them left at the bus stop. So now Jersey passed a law. Like I don't know if they passed it, but they're in the middle of passing it. That if the cops find like a Walmart cart or a Target cart on the highway, that they're gonna find the individual store. And it's like, wait, so now you want the employees to go out to the route, like to the highway, to get these carts and bring them back? Like
they're just gonna have people,
bro, it's
only
insane.
Do carts.
We have that. Fetcher. We have that in Jersey.
Well, yeah, like we have that up here too.
Yeah,
people mostly just do the carts, but
yeah,
I mean, like cart retrieval.
Yeah, right. Like, yo, I gotta go retrieve some carts. Like, bro, but yeah, man, this album, I'm glad that we were able to chop it up and talk about it, because it's such an amazing album. And then next week we have Known. That'll be the last episode of this series. And
until like another year or two, then we'll hit the other half.
Bro, it's such a good, such a phenomenal album, man. Like I love, dude. I'm not gonna. We won't dive into it, but Known. I listened to it when it dropped at 12:01. Like, I sat here, I was listening to it, and I'll be honest. I'm gonna be completely straightforward honest. I went to bed right after, and I laid in bed, and my wife was like, "So how was it?" And I was like, I don't know what I was so excited for. That's what I said. That's what I said. But then the next morning, I woke up and I was like, yo, I was like, I need to listen to it again. And I listened to it in the gym, and it was such a different like atmosphere. Like it wasn't 12:30 in the morning. I wasn't dead tired. So like, bro, now having listened to it again, and now I think I've probably listened to it like 6 or 7 times. I love it. I'm in love with it. Like I love the way that it goes. I love, bro, and that female, bro, she is ridiculous, bro. Like that dude. And I'll be honest, bro, I'm very skeptical when I hear women rap. I'm just being honest. But when I heard her, bro, such a great song, bro. She killed it. Like destroyed it, dude.
I've been meaning to work with her for a while, so I'm glad we made it happen.
Yeah, dude, this was such a great, like all the features, such great features on the album. But we'll talk about that next week, man. But so just for everybody better have listened to it at this point. But those who haven't, what can they expect from the album, and what was it that you were trying to go with this album, Known?
Man, I just been feeling connected to God. I've been feeling like I'm in a good place. And while, there are still bad days, overall, I wanted to express my gratitude and, talk about the relationship that I have with God. And the title of the album, Known, was basically not to be known by this world, but to be known by God. And so that was like the main message for the album is, to not worry about being known by people, but to be known by God, because that's what matters.
Amen.
So,
and that is definitely what I got from it. And it is a phenomenal album. If you haven't already purchased, go purchase it. You were already up. You were all the way up to 4 on the
we
on the
made it
charts.
to 4. I'm never going to pass Lauren Daigle, but maybe in 10 years from now.
Hey, never say never.
Lord, whatever the Lord wants,
Whatever he
I
wants,
accept.
man. There, bro, I'm telling you, you're going to hit number 1. I'm just like, bro, because you were 4 in this one, and I don't know about Idols, but because Janky was top, wasn't Janky top 10
I'd have
too?
to go back. I think so.
Because they were a lot of, I think Haven, Idols, and Janky were all like
top 10.
I think so. I think they all
there
were.
there was one I think that was top 20 maybe. That didn't
remember.
do as
I gotta
good.
look up. I take screenshots, so I gotta check. But
yeah, me too,
bro. But yo, thank you so much for hopping on, brother. I cannot
Yeah.
wait till next week. But until then,
Same.
man, thank you so much for everything. Thank you to Aaron for giving us you for an hour, and have a great rest of the night, brother. And adios.
All right, bro. Thank you.
Yes, sir.